Hello everybody, Wannabe Reviewer here, and welcome back to the Wannabe Podcast, episode 20. Before I begin this week's podcast, I just want to take a quick moment to, I guess you can say, pat myself on the back, because whether you are listening to this on YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, or SoundCloud, I finally got my stuff together, and I am now caught up with the podcast to the point where this should be coming out, at the same time on all platforms. So, it took me up to episode 20, which, thinking about it, that's quite a lot of time. But yeah, I'm finally caught up where as I put this on YouTube, it should go, up on the other platforms as well. So I'm caught up. And yeah, it took a lot of work because I had to transfer files and convert them and upload them and fill out the information for the RSS feed or whatever. But finally, I am caught up. And so yeah, I'm proud of that because that means that I can now put the podcast on all platforms at the same time. So I'm happy about that. And for those of you who have asked for the podcast on other platforms, like I know Mr. Panda, he said that he likes to listen to podcasts on iTunes. Don't worry, I'm working on that next, but for now, small victory, so yeah. Another thing that I wanted to point out really quickly is that over on my channel, on YouTube, Wannabe Reviewer, I released a Valentine's Day special yesterday, on Valentine's Day, and I am quite proud of it. Basically, over on my channel, I usually do reviews and lists and that sort of thing, but this time I want to do something a little bit different. Because I've talked in the past about how I would like to do Let's Play and more actually playing games on there, And so I thought to myself, hey, wouldn't it be fun if for Valentine's Day, I play some sort of a dating sim or something, you know what I mean? That might be fun, play through a dating sim, see how that goes. I feel like that fits the theme. And since I've reviewed Monster Prom in the past, I just thought that'd be a fun thing to play through. And so sure enough, recorded about an hour of me, just playing through till I reach an ending. And yeah, so that's over on YouTube, and I had a lot of fun recording it. I thought it was a blast putting that together. And so hopefully for anyone who watched it, hopefully you enjoyed that. And for anyone who's listening that hasn't watched that, I, beg you, please go watch it and please leave me your feedback. I really want to know if you guys like that sort of thing over on the channel. And I don't know, like I said, I had a ton of fun putting that together, and hopefully you guys enjoy it so I can do, more stuff like that, more playing through games, even if maybe it's not a full playthrough, just short, looks at games and stuff. I'd love to do more of that. So please check that out on my channel, Wannabe Reviewer, and let me know what you think, all right? With that being said, that's basically all I wanted to say at the beginning of the podcast. So without further ado, let's dive into my week, I guess. Let's see here. Oh yes, the first thing I want to talk about is that I know I usually start these things off by talking about the manga I've read, but unfortunately these last few weeks has been a bit difficult for me to find a time to read because I've just been running around with work and trying to put the videos out and all sorts of stuff. So, I know my 8th grade English teacher would be very disappointed in me because I'm not getting my, reading in, but it is what it is. So for anyone who enjoys listening to me talk about manga, hate to disappoint you, but, I have no new manga to talk about. However, hopefully by the end of this month, once work's out of the way, or it slows down or whatever, and I get some more videos up, that sort of thing, hopefully then I'll dive back into manga. So, keep an eye out. It's not going away forever, but unfortunately, no new manga to talk about this week, so. On the other hand, when it comes to anime, I said last week that I would love to talk about The Rising of the Shield Hero if I had a chance to watch it, and sure enough, I watched the 6 episodes that are currently out, and I really enjoyed the show. I had heard some good things about it, and I can see why people like it. I think it's a really good show. So, taking a step back, The Rising of the Shield Hero, or as it's known in Japanese, Tate no Yusha no Nariagari. I figure I might as well say the Japanese names too in case people look it up that way. Basically, it's this show that's just really interesting. It's kind of like that time I got reincarnated as a slime. It's similar, but at the same time, it's the total opposite. All right. So while that time I got reincarnated as a slime is all about, this character that he's making friends and allies and basically everything goes really good for him and he's growing together with all these companions, The Rising of the Shield Hero is kind of the opposite. because it's about this guy that like everything goes bad for him, and at the beginning he's like totally alone and everybody hates him, and I don't know, it's just really weird, right? So basically where the story starts is that there's this otaku named Naofumi Iwatani, and I'm not quite sure of his age. I don't remember if he says his age, but I know he's either, like high school senior age till like early like college age, right? Anywhere between like 17 and like 20, I want to say. And at the beginning of the story, he's, at the library and he sees this book. And so he opens up the book and he starts reading it, and he then gets transported to another world. And basically in this other world, there is this old story about how when, that world is in danger, 4 heroes will come from another world to help save them. And the 4 heroes, one wields a sword, one wields a spear, one wields a bow, and one wields a shield. And so our main character, he ends up being the shield hero. And, when the story starts, he's trying to learn about the world and what's happening, and he sees that he has a shield, and he's kind of like, oh, that's kind of lame because, like, people don't really think of a shield as a weapon, that sort of thing. And sure enough, ever since he arrives there, he notices that the other heroes kind of keep talking crap about him because it's like, hey, you just have a shield, like you're not that cool or whatever. And when every hero is starting to gain followers, because basically like the king tells him the situation, says you guys are like the 4 heroes, and then he says something about how like the 4 weapons kind of cancel each other out. So the 4 heroes sticking together isn't like a good idea, like to level up. So he says, like, you 4 should split up, like, with your own factions, level up, and, like, gain skills and stuff, and then come together when it's time to fight, like, a threat. And so when everyone's, like, splitting up in different factions and stuff, nobody wants to be on the Shield Heroes team because they think he's lame. That does change, though. Eventually, a girl says that she'll join him, and she seems, like, really nice. She's really cute. The Shield Hero, he's kind of, like, happy that such a cute girl is helping him out and stuff. Basically, what ends up happening is that it was all a setup, and this girl who was with the shield hero, one night when they're at an inn, she steals all his stuff, and then she accuses him of rape, which that part of the show is kind of, it's kind of weird, but luckily, it is treated well. It's not treated like, it could have been treated way worse, so, whatever. But yeah, she accuses him of rape. Basically, the king says that, if it wasn't for the fact that he's a hero, he would be executed on the spot, this and that. And so he basically kind of gets, like, exiled, you can say. Part of it's him getting exiled. The other part is him realizing that he's been set up and that everybody, like, just is trashing all over him because he's the shield hero and they think he's weak. And so he kind of exiles himself, like, he leaves. But from there, yeah, it just really sucks because his name is tarnished. Everywhere he goes, people talk crap about him. And he's all alone. And it sucks because as the shield hero, the only weapon he can really, equip is a shield. But with a shield, he can't kill monsters, which means he can't level up, which makes him weak, which makes people hate him even more. So he's like in a, a loop. He's kind of stuck. And basically at this point in the story, he is so fed up with being transported to this other world and everybody hating him and that girl lying about how she got raped and all this stuff. And so he kind of takes an attitude where he kind of starts acting like an asshole, like he thinks, everyone says I'm an asshole, I'm going to act like an asshole. And so he kind of starts like threatening people so that they'll buy his like merchandise so he can make money and this and that. And at the end of the first episode, he buys himself a slave because, basically, it's not pretty, but he needs someone to fight on his behalf to help him level up. And so he buys a slave. And the slave is this like half human, half like raccoon girl named Raftalia. And from there, that's where I don't really want to talk about it too much because I think that's entering spoiler territory. But him and Raftalia, his slave, main character is acting like an asshole, but it doesn't mean he is. They form like a little friendship and we see how, they form a bond where, she fights on his behalf and he treats her nicely and stuff. And even though they have like a master-slave relationship, it's not what people think, it is like an actual friendship, and stuff. And yeah, like I said, after that, it would be kind of entering spoiler territory, but it's just really interesting seeing how, unlike other isekai protagonists, like unlike Sword Art Online, where Kirito is just the Mary Sue and he has all the abilities and he can master anything. Like the moment he learns it and everybody loves him and girls are throwing themselves at him. It's really interesting to see a series where the main character is like the opposite of that, you know? Like he's underleveled, he's underpowered because he can only fight with a shield. Everybody hates him. And yeah, it's just interesting seeing how he tries to overcome all that, you know? So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things you have to like see for yourself. It's kind of hard to explain, like I said, without going too much into like spoilers or that sort of thing, you know, and I can't like obviously explain every single detail that makes it good. But I definitely recommend it. I thought it was a really good series. And like I said, I just like it because it's really different. Unlike other heroes who like everything goes their way, this is a story basically about a hero who, I don't know, he has to take the stance of being an asshole in public so people will respect him. And he has to fight his hardest to like survive because everything's against him. So I don't know. I just thought it was really interesting. I recommend it. And once again, that is called The Rising of the Shield Hero. And in Japanese, it's called Tate no Yuusha no Nariagari. So check it out, guys. When it comes to movies, I watched a couple of movies actually, and it kind of sucks because on the one hand, I want to talk about them, but on the other hand, I don't want to talk about them too much because I do really want to do some reviews of them for my channel, but I don't know, I guess I'll talk about them briefly. So the first movie I watched was a new one. It's something that is currently in theaters, you know, right now, and that was the Lego Movie 2, the second part. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I'm not going to say it's as good as the first one, but I still think that it's really entertaining. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, the Lego Movie is really surprising because unlike stuff like the Emoji Movie, which seems like it's like a total cash grab and it seems like it's going to have no soul, the Lego movies have been surprisingly like really funny and like really well put together. And so like in this one, it starts basically where the first one ends, where the Lego world is, you know, like attacked by some aliens and everyone's like freaking out. And the implication is that while in the Lego world, they're being taken over by like these like baby sounding aliens. In the real world, that's because the main character, you know, the little boy, his sister is allowed to play in the basement with him. But it's really interesting seeing how the Lego people, because of like the little sister playing in the basement, basically their world becomes like a dystopia. Well, part of it's that, and part of it is the main character like wanting to be more grown up with more like gritty storylines. So it's really funny seeing how, you know, they live basically like in Mad Max world and everybody's all tough, except the main character Emmett, who's like still all childish. And when his friends get kidnapped by, you know, an alien from the Sistar system, it's all about him having like toughen up and get them back or whatever. And yeah, I mean, the story's interesting. The characters are funny, just like in the first one. The jokes, there's some pretty good jokes. And like I said, not as good as the first one. I feel like the first one, the jokes just came more naturally. And I feel like the story was a little more like tight, but it was still a pretty good movie. I still really enjoyed it and I recommend it. You know, if you have a chance, I say go watch it. I thought it was a lot of fun. So the other movie that I watched is an older movie, and this is a movie that I've actually been wanting to watch for a while, ever since my friend The Movie Void talked about it on his channel. And that movie is Anna and the Apocalypse. And this movie is so weird and like, I don't know, that's what makes it so good though, right? So basically, Anna and the Apocalypse is a Christmas zombie apocalypse musical, all right? Which, if that sounds weird to you, that's the point. Like, it is like the most unique movie ever. I've never seen anything like this. But yeah, this is really interesting because it's about this girl named Anna and how at the beginning of the movie, you know, she's like about to graduate and she wants to take a gap year to travel before she goes to like university. And at the beginning of the movie, like her dad is like mad at her because he finds out her plans and he tells her like she can't do that, it's irresponsible, this and that. And so at the beginning of the movie, it's all about her dealing with that and feeling trapped, you know, in her life. And yeah, I mean, the movie gives you these like High School Musical vibes at the beginning because Anna's dealing with that. Her best friend is dealing with having a crush on her. And so, you know, he's dealing with his emotions. There's another classmate of theirs that's like an activist She feels like nothing's taken seriously because like the principal's like an a-hole that controls everything and doesn't let people report things if it's not up to his standards, and all sorts of like teenage problems, right? And sure enough, they sing about them, which makes it feel like High School Musical. But then where like the movie like has like its own like personality is that as they're dealing with all these things, a zombie apocalypse breaks out in their city. And so I don't know, it's just really crazy because like when the zombie apocalypse first hits, Anna, had just talked to her friend, and he kind of gave her like new confidence in like what she wants to do. And so the next morning, she's just like really happy and really pumped, and she has her headphones in and she's singing and dancing. And as she's singing and dancing, there's just people getting attacked by zombies all around her. Like the buildings are on fire and stuff. And it's just so funny because she doesn't notice because she's so into her music. And I mean, that's just like, I don't know, it's just this weird blend of like catchy pop songs and like dancing and choreography, but then there's like zombie stuff, Like I saw someone call this movie Shaun of the Dead meets High School Musical. And yeah, that's what it feels like. Like you have the teen problems and stuff they're dealing with, but then there's like zombie stuff happening, which is like super weird, but it works really well, And so do I recommend the movie? Yes, I do. Obviously it's not going to be for everybody because there is like a lot of like gore and I don't know. I mean, not everyone's into like, musicals, that sort of thing. Honestly, though, even if it seems like it's not your thing, I would still recommend checking it out because it is just so different. Like, even if you don't like musicals, I think you'll like this because the songs are catchy and you get to see people singing as they're killing zombies, so you might like it, But I don't know. Like I said, I want to hopefully do a more in-depth review over on my channel. But for now, Ani and the Apocalypse, I give it 2 thumbs up. I think it's worth watching. I think it's really fun. Once again, shout outs to the Movie Void for talking about this movie on his channel, which is what put it on my radar. And yeah, guys, like I said, I recommend it and I think you guys should check it out. So finally, when it comes to video games, one of the things I noticed over on Amazon is that there was a game coming out called The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. And when I saw that game was coming up, it got my attention because it's just like a really cute game that has like a fairy tale storybook aesthetic. And so when I saw that on Amazon and I saw that it was coming out like really soon, I thought I'd buy it and I'd play it. And so sure enough, this last week I played that game and I really enjoyed it, Basically the game, it's called The Liar Princess and the Blind Prince. And the reason it's called that is because the princess isn't really a princess. She's actually a wolf. And the game starts with this like lone wolf that is always, singing at the moon. And every night, she's singing and eventually like this prince shows up and he can't see her, but he can hear her singing. And he's like always applauding her. And he like, you can tell he really likes her singing. And while at first she kind of wants to eat him, I guess you can say she like falls in love with him because like he's like the first person that's ever showed her kindness and like praised her singing. And so she, keeps singing for him. And one day though, he tries to climb up the cliff to see who's singing. And because she gets scared, she like claws at him and accidentally messes up his eyes. And that's where he like, turns blind. And so in order to make it up to him, she goes to a witch. And she says, like, if I bring you the prince, can you restore his eyesight? And I mean, the witch gives her a power where she can transform back and forth between a princess and a wolf. And so that's where like the story starts, where this wolf, aka princess, she is guiding the prince by his hand because he's blind. And it's all about you as the princess leading him through the forest over to see the witch so she can restore his eyesight. And the game's really cool, it's really charming. I really love the art style. Like I said, it has like a fairy book, storybook style. I think that's really nice. The music's really good. The characters are like super cute. The gameplay is like a bunch of like puzzles, which most of them are pretty easy. That's the one thing I will say. A lot of people kind of complain the game is kind of short and easy. And I do mostly agree. A lot of puzzles are really short. I mean, a lot of puzzles are really easy and the game is quite short. I mean, but still, I just really enjoyed it. I just thought it was really fun playing through the puzzles, leading the prince, having to use all these different mechanics. And yeah, even if the game is kind of short, there is a lot of like collectibles and stuff you can go back and get. So that does pad it out a little bit. and I recommend it. Right now I think the game is like $20 and it is on, I want to say, all systems. Like, I know for sure it's on PS4 and Switch. I'm not sure about Xbox One and PC, but I know for sure it's at least on, 2 systems, and I recommend it. It's $20. I mean, I guess you would have to be the judge of that. If you think $20 for a game that takes like, I don't know, 6 hours, 7 hours, if you think that's a little too short, I mean, maybe wait for a price drop, I guess. But I do recommend checking it out at some point because I think the game is really good. It's really charming, and I really feel like it deserves the attention, So once again, The Liar Princess and The Blind Prince, I recommend it. I loved it. And in fact, I loved it so much, I actually bought the storybook edition, which comes with like a book and the CD and stuff. And I don't regret it. I think it's really good. So there you go. Alrighty, and with that being said, I think that's basically everything for my week. I'm looking through my list. I think I talked about everything I wanted to. So without further ado, let's transfer over to the news because there was a lot that happened this week in terms of news. So the first news story that I want to talk about is that Nintendo had a Direct on Wednesday, and I don't know, a lot happened, honestly. I know some people were disappointed because there was no Animal Crossing, no Pokemon, that sort of thing. But I mean, I get it. People are disappointed because they would love to hear about these series. But honestly, it is what it is. I think what we got was awesome. And so really quickly, just to go through like a quick list of what was talked about, the Direct opened up with Super Mario Maker 2. So I thought that was really cool. Apparently that's going to hit, it just says June 2019, doesn't say an exact date, but that's coming pretty soon. Fire Emblem, The Three Houses, they showed plenty of footage of that and details. That's coming July 26th. Let's see here. Astral Chain is a new game from Platinum, and that game looks awesome. It's coming August 30th, and I can't wait. I love all of Platinum's games, and this looks really interesting. Basically, it's like these cops who look like they can almost summon what looks like stands, like from JoJo, and you fight with them, and you're defeating all these crazy monsters and stuff in a city, and you're like a part of the police force. I mean, I don't know. It looks really interesting. You guys should check that out. I'm excited for that. Dragon Quest XI is coming. Box Boy plus Box Girl comes out April 26th. Let's see. Tetris 99 is now out. That's a game that's free to Switch Online people. And basically, it's like a weird battle royale like style of game that I don't even know how that works. But yeah, it's a Tetris battle royale game somehow. But I've heard people say it's pretty good. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. It has not only a free update, but they announced that there's going to be some paid DLC coming on March 14th. Daemon Ex Machina, it has a free demo right now that you can try out. And that game, I don't think they said when it's coming. Yeah, I don't believe they said when it was coming. I think they just said summer, but that looks really interesting. Yoshi's Crafted World is coming March 29th. And there's also a free demo right now if you want to check it out. Let's see here. Final Fantasy 9. Yeah, Final Fantasy 9. It's out now. And Final Fantasy 7 is coming March 26th. So that's pretty cool. And let's see, besides that, they just talked about so much stuff. I'm trying to like pick and choose what to talk about. Starlink has more content coming in spring. You're going to be able to play as Falco, Peppy, and Slippy. So that's really cool. You're going to be fighting against the members of Starwolf. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They didn't show too much, but they did say that it's getting a version 3.0 coming up in spring. And a lot of people think that that's probably going to be a stage builder. I mean, they could be wrong, but people said that if you look at like the silhouettes of the little bit of like footage they did show, they think that stage builder might be coming, which I think that would be awesome. And it makes sense. I mean, that's kind of the only thing the game is missing. So there you go. Let's see here. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. We don't have an exact date, but they said it's supposed to be coming in summer. Dragon Quest Builders 2, July 12th. Deltarune Chapter 1 is available February 28th. Let's see. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, coming in spring. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, May 24th. However, the one last thing I want to talk about that I thought was like a total surprise, but I'm super excited, is that right at the end, The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is getting a remake. and they didn't say when that's coming. They just said it's coming this year, but that was awesome. I mean, Link's Awakening is like my second favorite Zelda game ever, and it's my favorite out of the 2D titles. So yeah, just hearing that there's a remake coming is awesome. And I know a lot of people weren't too fond of the style because it looks kind of like it's like if everything was like a big toy set and like all the everything's toys. I know some people aren't too fond of the style. They think it looks kind of cheap, but I really dig the new style. I think it looks really cool. I think when you take into account like the plot of the game and what it's supposed to like mean, I think the style works like perfectly fine. And so I'm super excited for that. So I'll definitely be picking that up day one. And yeah, I'm just looking quickly through this to see if there's anything I missed. But I think I got everything. So like I said, I mean, in case I missed anything, the link in the description below will link to an article that talks about everything that happened and all the release dates. So yeah, feel free to check it out, guys. And feel free to let me know if there's anything you're excited for, because I know some people were disappointed, but personally, I was really excited after that direct. I just thought there was a lot of cool stuff in it, so. The next story that I want to talk about is that last week I had just talked about how Apex Legends, I mean, I don't know, I had some mixed feelings on it because I wasn't sure if it was gonna, kill Titanfall, and I wasn't sure if it was just gonna be like another Battle Royale game, very generic or whatever. But I mean, I don't know, since then, my opinion on it has turned around. Not only have I heard a lot of very positive feedback, like people say the game's really fun, but I actually, downloaded it and was trying it out right before the podcast. And I didn't get to play too much of it. I only played like a round or two, but I thought it was pretty good, actually. I thought it was actually really fun. Like the game's really interesting. And not only that, but after last week's podcast came out, I also heard that apparently Titanfall 3 is still in development. So, yeah. I mean, I guess a quick update to last week's podcast. Last week, I was worried about it being a generic Battle Royale game, and I was worried about the company, I don't know, just trying to be greedy and cashing in, because, whatever. And while I am still kind of worried, because I'm sure that even if this company doesn't do it, I'm sure there will be another company that will sell out and probably try to follow trends. At least on this occasion, it looks like it went well, Not only did we get a game that seems pretty fun, but it seems like, Titanfall isn't dead. So best of both worlds, it actually ended up surprisingly having a happy ending. So there you go. Finally, the last news story I want to talk about is that according to this article, as the title states, PS5 will absolutely have backward compatibility, says editor at Digital Foundry. Now, the bad part is that I actually forgot to do my research to see what makes this guy's word mean anything, But yeah, according to the article, if you read it, there's been some rumors about the PS5 having backward compatibility, and there's been supposedly some leaks on, the specs of the system. And yeah, I mean, there was some tweets, that they link here where people are saying oh, do you think the PS5 will have backwards compatibility? That sort of thing. People are saying, it seems like it could be possible. And this guy, the editor at Digital Foundry, he responded back with 2 different tweets. One says it will absolutely have this, 0 question. And the other tweet says, why do you think they went with x86 to avoid including 2 sets of chips as they did on the PS3? So, I mean, that's him talking specs, I guess, for, that would allow for, emulation, or I guess would allow for the discs from other stuff, like PS2 to be played. And like I said, I mean, unfortunately, I don't know who this guy is. I mean, I forgot to look that up. And, even if he thinks it's going to have backwards compatibility, that isn't necessarily Sony's going to go for it. But this is still I feel like it's a step in the right direction, seeing people be really sure of it based on the specs, at least is good news. And yeah, I mean, I would really hope that Sony embraces this, because Microsoft, even though I don't know. I mean, I'm not too much of a fan of the Xbox One. I just feel like there's not really a lot of games to play on it. There's nothing that really interests me. However, the one exception is that I do think it's really cool how they do backwards compatibility, because there are a lot of original Xbox games and, Xbox 360 stuff that I would love to play on it. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they're really winning against Sony in that department, having backwards compatibility. So I would really hope that Sony embraces that, because, the fact that they only have a handful of online games, on their store, like a handful of PS2 games. I've always thought that's a shame. I would definitely pay for more stuff, or heck, I would pull out some of my PS2 games out of storage to play them, So I really hope they embrace that, but I guess only time will tell. So like I said, hopefully they do embrace this, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Moving on, this next news story is really funny, but basically, for anyone who's seen the trailer, they showed a new Aladdin trailer, and it showed Will Smith in his like blue genie form, and people hate it, I think he looks really awkward. I don't even know how to describe it. He does look so out of place. He looks so badly done. And not only that, but honestly, I think that like a lot of stuff just looks really bad. Like Jasmine's new outfit, for me, it's not even so much that it's not like showing her midsection. I mean, although I do think they should stick to the original design, for me, my problem with her outfit is less the fact that it's not like the old outfit in terms of like how long it is, but like why pink? That's the part that like upsets me. Like what defines Jasmine is like her blue outfit. So why didn't they stick to blue? Like for me, that's my issue. And then when it comes to Aladdin, if you look at a lot of like the scenes with him, he seems like he doesn't really know how to show emotion in his face. So that sucks. And then when it comes to Jafar is supposed to be like this tall, intimidating guy, like he's like really creepy and like sleazy and stuff. And if you look at and listen to this Jafar, like he doesn't look or sound intimidating at all. Like his voice is like a young teenage boy, and his appearance, he looks, I don't know, he just looks very unintimidating. So that sucks. So I don't know, for me, this new trailer, combine all these parts together, with the weird blue Will Smith. I think this movie looks like a disaster, but at least the positive side is that we got a bunch of funny reactions from this. So as it says in this next article, like the title, it says Will Smith's Blue Genie in Aladdin, the internet's best reactions. And so that's what I want to share with you guys, because I just thought it was really funny. So like there's one where it has a picture of Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and someone tweets, guys, calm down. Will Smith looks fine. So I just thought that was really funny. There's another picture where someone says, honestly, the Will Smith genie feels like a spoiler for Bird Box, because I finally understand what image would make them so fascinated, but also want to kill themselves. So I thought that was really funny. That made me crack up. Let's see what else they have. Someone says, like, they put a picture of Will Smith, all blue and stuff, and they say, Will Smith is what appears in my room when I have sleep paralysis. So I thought that was funny. And yeah, another person just puts, I'll never sleep again, and it's all Will Smith's fault. And I don't know, man, like, there's some examples in this article of people's reactions, but like, literally, if you just like Google it, there's just so many memes and so many reactions and stuff. And I mean, I feel like that's the good thing about nowadays, that even when something fails terribly, and even when something like this bad comes out that, fans absolutely hate, at least on the bright side, it does spring forth a bunch of good memes and jokes and reactions. So, does the movie look terrible? Yes. I wish it would get canceled or whatever. But on the bright side, at least there's a lot of funny reactions. So I appreciate that, Following up on that, this next news story actually connects to the Aladdin trailer, because as this next news story, as the title states, Frozen 2 trailer was reportedly originally set to premiere next month. So yeah, I don't know how many of you know, but not only did we get an Aladdin trailer, but we also got like this Frozen 2 like teaser trailer. And, taking a quick moment to talk about that, I thought it looked pretty interesting. I mean, I'm one of probably a handful of people that doesn't act like Frozen killed my family, and I don't mind it, That's not to say that I think it's a great movie, but unlike everybody else who seems to just have like a hate boner for this movie, I just think it was fine, I thought there was some stuff in it that was pretty good. I thought there was some songs that were fine. Once again, not my favorite movie, but not my least favorite. And yeah, so when I saw this trailer, I was interested and I clicked on it. And the trailer seems interesting. Basically, it shows Elsa, like, I don't know, like she's like standing at the edge of like the ocean, and she keeps using her ice powers to try to like, I don't know, try to like see if she can like get through like some waves or something. Like, I'm not really sure what she's trying to do. I don't know if she's trying like to train her powers, to, like use them a different way, or I don't know if she's like desperate and this is her way to like, maybe instead of using like a ship or something, to just use her powers to like, you know, travel around the ocean or something. I'm not too sure, but it looks really interesting. It seems really hardcore. You can tell she's like really desperate and she's like definitely like exerting herself and stuff. So that was interesting. They then show some footage of like this other person who it seems like they might also have powers. I mean, she's surrounded by what looks like a lot of like autumn leaves and stuff. So I don't know if that's gonna be like a rival or a love interest. I don't know. But regardless, you know, Frozen 2 trailer came out, had some interesting stuff. Compared to how everybody hates Frozen, a lot of people seem to have some positive stuff to say about this, or they seem really interested. And where it ties back into the Aladdin story is that apparently everyone's saying that the trailer was supposed to come out next month, but they think that because the Aladdin trailer did so terrible, they decided to release this to like balance it out. So I mean, it even says like there's like a tweet in the middle of the article, and it even says like Disney releases Aladdin trailer. Internet, oh my god, Genie, laughing my ass off. Disney presses in case of emergency, release Frozen 2 trailer button. So that's what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying that the reason that the trailer came out earlier is probably because the Aladdin movie just people are talking so much crap about it that Disney wanted to get back on people's good side. And so they're like, you know, break the glass, release the trailer, and I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the reason they did it. Maybe it's not. But regardless, Frozen 2 trailer is out now. And like I said, it looks interesting, you know? Moving on, I have another movie news story, and I thought this one was really interesting. I mean, it has like a few parts to it, but as the title states, Invisible Man reboot is low budget. Blumhouse may use Dark Universe scripts. So, I mean, I don't know. For anyone who doesn't know, Universal Studios owns the rights to a bunch of different monster movies. They have The Invisible Man, they have, you know, Werewolf, they have Dracula, they have The Creature of the Black Lagoon, Bride of Frankenstein, all these things. And I mean, I know a few years back, they released that terrible Mummy reboot, and that was supposed to be like the beginning of their extended universe, you know, like they called it the Dark Universe. And that was supposed to be kind of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was supposed to be like a series of movies that tied all the Universal monsters together. And I don't know if anyone's seen that Mummy reboot, but that movie was terrible, and it basically ruined the Dark Universe. I mean, one movie in and it ruined it. And so it looks like because you know, that idea's been scrapped, somehow Blumhouse got the rights to The Invisible Man. And so as the title states, Blumhouse seems like they're going to make the reboot, and it's going to be low budget. So I don't know. I mean, whether you love them or hate them, Blumhouse has grown to release some pretty, you know, successful movies, both financially and critically. You know, like they released Get Out, they released the new Halloween movie, that sort of thing. So, I mean, it will be interesting to see what they do with The Invisible Man. The fact that it's low budget, honestly, I think that's kind of cool. While it kind of sucks to like not have infinite money to like throw at a movie, at the same time, when a movie is low budget, I do feel like that forces the people behind the movie to be like really creative, which usually leads to some pretty good stuff. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe the Invisible Man reboot will be good. I mean, it remains to be seen, I guess. But the other part that's interesting is that, yeah, as the article states, it's not known how much, you know, if any, of the original Dark Universe stuff they're going to use. Because like, originally, the Dark Universe, you know, it was supposed to have, I want to say Johnny Depp as their version of the Invisible Man. And I mean, since that went bad, I doubt they'll still have Johnny Depp starring, but I mean, they could still use some of the ideas, I guess. So yeah, when the time comes, will Blumhouse use any of the Dark Universe scripts? I don't know. And will this movie be any good? Once again, I also don't know, but I do find this story to be really interesting because, like I said, Blumhouse has made some pretty successful stuff. And the fact that this movie is low budget, I mean, might lead to some creative stuff. So I'm definitely keeping an eye out for this. And if you guys are interested in monster movies, then I suggest doing the same, you know? Moving on to this next news story, which oddly enough also has like a monster motif to it. Apparently Disney's Star vs. the Forces of Evil will end with season 4. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever even heard of this show or watched it, but Star versus the Forces of Evil, it's an interesting show. I wouldn't call it the best show out there. I do feel like sometimes it can be like a little annoying and like lol random, that sort of humor. But overall, I've watched this show and I've really enjoyed it. But basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Star vs. the Forces of Evil is an animated show over on Disney, and it stars this princess called Star Butterfly. And basically, when she turns like 14, her parents give her a wand that's like a magic wand. And, in order to harness her powers and learn, I guess, how to like be a queen and stuff, they send her to Earth. Almost like a student exchange program. And when she gets to Earth, she meets this kid named Marco, and, he's the kid that if you look at the thumbnail, he has like the red hoodie or whatever. And, they become quick best friends, and they get into all sorts of shenanigans, fighting monsters who are trying to like steal her wand because, the wand represents her being like the next queen or whatever. And like I said, it's just a fun show. It has a lot of cool lore. It has a lot of cool fights, and like the characters are fun and that sort of thing. The humor, I wouldn't say it's always like my cup of tea, but there is quite a bit of jokes I do enjoy. And so yeah, the show originally came out, it premiered 2015, and apparently season 4 is going to be its last. And honestly, I'm not too disappointed. I think that one more season, if you've been following the story, that's about right. Similar to like Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls had a story I wanted to tell. It told a story and then it ended. I feel like Star vs. the Forces of Evil, it feels the same way. If you've been following it, it feels like it definitely has a story to tell. And I think one more season would definitely be enough to like end the series, So while some people are probably disappointed, I think that's about right. And like I said, it's kind of hard to like really say anything if you haven't watched the show, but I recommend it. It's not going to be for everybody, but if you enjoy stuff like, I don't know, if you've ever checked out like Steven Universe or Adventure Time, or I don't know, like any of those Cartoon Network shows that you can tell like the creators of it really grew up with like cartoons from like the 90s and like anime and stuff, I think you'll like it because it definitely has like a lot of cool influences in it and stuff. So I like the show. I think it's overall pretty fun to watch, and so I recommend it. Check it out. And like I said, now's a good time to get into it because season 4 will be the end of the show. And if I read through, so March 10th will be the end of the last season. So right now is a pretty good time to get into it and get caught up. So there you go. If you guys are interested, check it out. The last news story that I want to talk about is less of a news story, and it's more of just like an article with an interview. I just thought I would talk about this because I thought it was really interesting. Basically, this last thing I'm linking, it's an interview that my anime list had with Team 4 Star's KaiserNeko. So, I don't know if any of you are Team 4 Star fans, but for anyone who doesn't know, Team 4 Star is a channel on YouTube that they do an abridged series where basically, they get all the episodes of, Dragon Ball Z, and they, overdub them and edit them and stuff to give you like a new story. And I love them. I've been following them since like basically the beginning. I think their editing and their voice work and the way they give you a new story with like humor, like they're some of the best in the business. And that's not the only thing they do. They also abridged Hellsing Ultimate. They have abridged Final Fantasy VII. They do a lot of like gameplays on their channels. They do streaming. Like they've grown to do like a lot of stuff. And so basically I thought this article was really interesting. They just sit down, they talk to KaiserNeko, they ask him to introduce himself, they ask him about stuff they've been doing, that sort of thing. And like I said, if you're a fan of Team 4 Star, I think this interview is definitely worth reading. And even if you don't know who Team 4 Star is, I recommend reading it because I think it's really interesting to see how this little YouTube channel of a group of people just dubbing an anime and having fun editing it like in a humorous way. It's really interesting to see how they've grown into an actual company. They are now in charge of if you read the article, they got put in charge of dubbing, let me see real quick, what's the name of the anime? I think it's called Hells. It says, oh yeah, it's a movie, sorry. Yeah, it says they're in charge of officially dubbing the 2008 Studio Madhouse movie Hells. So like that's really interesting. And then if you follow any of them, not only do they like do dubbing and, voice work for all these like YouTube projects, but a lot of them do voice work for like actual like big anime now too. So like I said, I think it's really interesting. I love this interview. I thought it was like really entertaining. I thought it was really cool seeing KaiserNeko talk about different stuff. And yeah, just seeing how they've grown over the years from a small channel, like I said, dubbing and editing this anime series like for fun into this company that does like voice work and official dubs and all sorts of stuff. I think it's really fun. So link will be in the description below. Check it out. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another news week. As usual, let me know if you guys thought that was interesting, entertaining, if you guys learned anything, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And as usual, it's time to move on to the final segment of the podcast, which is the Content Creator Spotlight. And this week's Content Creator Spotlight is going to be a little bit different. Well, up to now, I've basically only covered other like YouTube channels and other like content creators. This time, the person who caught my eye is actually a fellow podcaster over on SoundCloud, right? So basically the person I'm talking about, their name is honeysenqai, except the P is a Q, because as she said, that username was already taken. But basically, recently as I was uploading my, podcast episodes to SoundCloud, I noticed that someone who liked some of my podcast episodes, like they left a heart or whatever, I noticed that they also have their own podcast, Like first I saw their name and I saw like the little chibi profile picture, so that caught my attention. I followed that and saw that they have their own podcast. And right now, honeysenqai only has 4 episodes. But I don't know. I just really want to give her a shout out, and I would really recommend you guys check her out because I think she has some really fun stuff. Basically, she seems to dedicate herself to like talking about anime. And so like in the first episode, it's called Who's Honeysenqai? It's just her talking about herself, what she plans to do. Second episode is all about her talking about Free, right? That's what it's called, Free, the one about swimming. She's talking about that, anime and the manga and stuff. She seems to really like that. The third episode is about the best new anime of 2019. That's really entertaining. And then her latest video, episode 4, is about her husbandos and waifus. And like I said, she doesn't have too much content out right now, but I think she has some good stuff. I think it's really fun. I think she definitely has some insight to give about anime. She seems to be really passionate about anime and manga. And like I said, I just want to give her a shout out, Like I noticed her because she listened to some of my stuff, which made me listen to her stuff. And I don't know, I'm really lucky I ran into her because I think she has some fun stuff. And I think if she sticks with it, it'll be really interesting to see where her little podcast goes. So like I said, her name is honeysenqai, except the P is a Q, and she's available on SoundCloud. So check her out, guys. Give her some love. Alrighty, with that being said, that brings us to the end of another podcast. That is one more in the bag. As usual, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully there was something, you guys got out of this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the latest episode. Let me know though, don't hold back. Give me all your comments and feedback. And as I say at the end of all these podcasts now, my name's Wannabe Reviewer. In case you don't really know who I am, you can catch me over on YouTube under my YouTube channel, Wannabe Reviewer, where I do, all sorts of reviews on different media. You can catch me over on Twitter, where I give like updates to the channel and retweet all sorts of, interesting video game stuff and whatever else, memes, all that good stuff. You guys can catch me on Tumblr, which Tumblr's basically dead at this point, but I like to, repost some art here and there. There's some good stuff sometimes. And of course, you can listen to the podcast on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or Google Play Music. When it comes to the YouTube channel this week and what I'm trying to release, I have quite a few ideas for videos coming up. Unfortunately, I haven't done too much script writing. I have a lot of ideas, not an equal amount of scripts, unfortunately. But yeah, I have all sorts of ideas for a review for the Lego movie, Anna and the Apocalypse, and a few other things. But hopefully, I get my stuff together and I release a review this week. So, it'll probably be about one of those things. And yeah, besides that, guys, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Everyone who supports me, love you guys. Thank you so much. And with that being said, my name is Wannabe Reviewer, and I'll catch you guys next time.